Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Happy Workaholic Podcast. I'm your host, Kellyanne Gorman. I'm a business, LinkedIn, and podcast coach, as well as a luxury brand consultant, and I help business owners take their brands to the next level by implementing my personal techniques when it comes to growing their service, sales, and social media. Over the past 20 years, I've helped grow multiple brands in the beauty, hospitality, health, and luxury travel markets. I've exceeded all of their expectations, and I'm here to share my tips and tricks on how I did it. Inspiration, motivation, and determination are what got me to where I am today. And trust me, living with an autoimmune disease is never an easy task. So you can definitely expect some pretty crazy stories shared here as well. Don't forget, the after show happens after each episode in the Happy Workaholic Podcast Facebook group, and that's where I'll be every week to answer all of your questions. Now, if you want to hear any of my exclusive news first, just visit thehappyworkaholic.com, scroll down to the bottom of the page, and sign up for my weekly VIP newsletter. Now, let's get started with today's show. Hey everyone, welcome back to today's show. This is episode number 89. And today I want to share with you guys some of my tips and tricks on how I streamline my business, how I am more effective when it comes to using a term like less is more. So I'm going to give you a prime example. So if you were to visit thehappyworkaholic.com, you would have been able to see my luxury travel, other beauty services, as well as professional organizing and luxury experiences, as well as more travel. And I'm not doing any of that right now. Am I going to do it in the future? Maybe, I'm not sure. But my primary focus right now is the Happy Workaholic Network as a brand. And if you're not sure what that is, just visit thehappyworkaholic.com. But it's actually coaching and consulting for your business, LinkedIn, and podcast. And that is what I do every single day. I coach and consult my clients on either their business, their LinkedIn, or their podcast. And I really needed to streamline my business and take all of that off my website. So I actually ended up doing that yesterday. And I don't know why I have this problem. It's like, I'm so sad to take those pages down, but it's very confusing to people because I'm not doing luxury travel services and promoting it. If somebody happens to call me for a yacht or a jet, then absolutely I can make it happen. But that's somebody I've already worked with or it's a referral. So it doesn't need to confuse anybody else that's new to myself or my brand, the Happy Workaholic Network, and know anything about it. It's very confusing. So I finally sucked it up and took all these pages down. And so now when you visit thehappyworkaholic.com, you can just see everything about business, LinkedIn, podcasting, my Just For Us community, my shop, my reviews, my portfolio, and so much more. So again, if you visit thehappyworkaholic.com, you'll be able to see exactly what I'm doing at this moment in time. There is no reason to have all this extra content and stuff that doesn't matter to confuse people because that's not what I want to do right now. So I finally took hours and updated my entire website. I'm still working on uploading more links to my shop page, which I'm super excited about. I'm going to be adding more over this next month in September, which is going to be announced very soon, which brands I'm going to be working with. But I really wanted to streamline my business and make sure, I'm doing less is more. Less pages, more content, more information on exactly what I'm doing for your business, your LinkedIn, and your podcast. What I can do to enhance your career, enhance your profile, your social media pages, your branding, all that good stuff is now dissected and very thorough in content on my website. So that's the first thing you want to do when you're trying to streamline your business and make sure that, less is more. In our bios on Instagram, I think it's 140 or Twitter's 140. I forget exactly how many Instagram is, but I also updated my Instagram bio so that it gives a full description on who I am, what I love, and what I do, right? Because the first thing you want to know when you go to somebody's profile is to see what they do and why do you want to follow them? Like, why are they so interesting? And if you need any advice or if you just want to be friends with them, you can read all of that in someone's bio. So it's really important to immediately say who it is, what you do, why you're on the page, like what can they expect from you, so on and so forth. So you really want to do something like that as well. When it comes to social media pages, you really want to make sure that your brand is cohesive all across the board. So if you are only active on Facebook and Instagram, that's great. However, people are still going to find your content on Pinterest, on YouTube, if you have YouTube, on Facebook pages, on Snapchat. It just needs to be across the board, all of your branding and bios identical and match and up to par, good headshots, good bios, good verbiage. It really makes a difference, especially if you want to work with brands, because that's the first thing they're going to have their interns look at is all your social media pages, right? So also when it comes to LinkedIn, you want to make sure that your profile is up to date. And with my Leverage Your LinkedIn coaching, I actually am the one doing the work. And that's with a lot of my coaching, the LinkedIn and podcasting coaching specifically, I'm the one doing the work. You supply me with the information and I actually get the job done. At the end of that, then I go full force in the coaching and show you how to use the platform now that it's updated. Same thing with my podcast coaching. I design all your branding. I design your website if need be. And then I produce and edit all of your shows. And then at the end of our time together, I'm either going to coach you on how to produce and edit your own shows or continue producing on a monthly basis. So it's completely up to you. And I like to do it that way because at the end of the day, sometimes people don't have the money and they really just want to teach themselves. So after being with me for like a month or two or sometimes 3, they are ready to go off on their own. So that's why I offer those two. When it comes to your LinkedIn, you really want to make sure your profile is up to date. If you're changing jobs, if you're going back into the field of, corporate America. Why did I not just know that word? I literally had a business called Corporate Kelly, spelled with a K, because I was anti-corporate America. But anyway, if you're looking to go back into the workforce, work full-time, work for corporate America, but yet you have a business, you need to be able to share that journey and that story so that when people visit your LinkedIn, you can see, okay, I really want this job again in this field, but I also do have this business. It tells a lot about your business, your character, your work ethic, your personality, and then you can go ahead and use the bio as a full description on who it is, how you got there, what you're doing, and why. Like sometimes you might have to go back to work to fund the project that you're doing. Sometimes you really miss the 9 to 5. Sometimes you need the benefits for the kids that you just had. Like there's a million different reasons. Sometimes you might just want to do it for the hell of it to see if that's like how you want to live your best life these days. All the reasons are they're totally different for everybody. But when it comes to LinkedIn, you want to make sure that your profile is up to date and current and shows what it is that you're looking for. I just recently upgraded my headline saying that I'm upgrading LinkedIn profiles daily. So what does that say about me? That says that I'm upgrading LinkedIn profiles daily. That's going to have them immediately come to my page and see why. And then they're going to come across my Leverage Your LinkedIn coaching program and see that I actually do upgrade your profile. And I do that every single day of the week for my clients. And then I coach them after the fact. So it really depends on what channels you're on, but you really do want to make sure that your brand is cohesive on all your channels, something short and sweet. If you're in your bio, you don't need to use all of the platforms. Like I said, if you're always on Facebook and Instagram, then make sure those two are more thorough than, say, Pinterest and Twitter. However, you're going to be found all across the board. So you just want to make sure that everything is there and looks good. Now, when it comes time to when you want to do something else in your business, what do you do? When you want to take it to the next level, you make a list, you write like your pros and cons, you just do it, you talk to your friends or family about it. There's so many different ways and ways to go about it, right? So for me personally, I write down a list like I do every day, a list of things, whether I want to do in my personal or professional life, and just really ask myself, like, what's next to my business? So for me, I really want to get into more brand sponsorships for my podcast. I also want to get into more thorough work with different brands, which will be coming soon. I'll be releasing more information on that. But just really becoming more of an influencer with brands, as well as working on my podcast more. And then my coaching would be the second, and my third would be my autoimmune disease, and talking more about that on my show. So really what I want is this podcast to be my main source of income. Right now, last week, the week before, literally the past couple of months since I've launched Your Podcast Production, I've been getting so many questions about, okay, how can I build this into my brand? How can I make money from it? What is my ROI? How many downloads do I have to start getting sponsorships and commercial money and all that fun stuff? And my response to that is, yes, you can always and absolutely incorporate your podcast into a brand. You don't have to, but it is another way to have another community and another audience available to you and for you at all times. Your content is online forever. So people are going to always go back to old content. I just listened to a podcast episode from Rachel Hollis. I think it was from June 4th, I believe, or July 4th, with Erin Condren. It was so good. And that was from forever ago, because I literally just skimmed through my podcast library to see what I want to listen to. And I go by the details of the show notes or the title and go from there and just listen to some episodes that I'm like craving the content for. Just really want to learn more or hear a nice fun chat. So when it comes to where you're listened to and how many downloads you have and when to pitch customers or brands to pay you to have commercial spots on your podcast, it really needs to make sense for the brand. It needs to make sense for, their investment. Like, what can you provide for them? Can you provide just one commercial? Do you do an intro? Do you have show notes? Is it constantly getting automated? Are you on multiple platforms where you actually repurpose the content? That's actually something that I do, is that I repurpose my shows and put them in blogs on my published posts on LinkedIn. And that's how I get a lot more traffic. And that's why my podcast is downloaded in 36 countries, which is insane, because my LinkedIn audience is worldwide, more than my Instagram and Facebook. Facebook, I would say, is number 2. Instagram would be 3. Pinterest would be 4. Twitter, 5. I think those are my 5. So that is why I'm able to be heard in all of those countries, is because I'm repurposing my content to LinkedIn. And the majority of this show is business in LinkedIn, besides my life with an autoimmune disease. So that makes sense for me. So when I go to pitch brands and, sponsors for my show, I have to show that. So all of that is available in my deck when I go to pitch brands, as well as, who I am, what I do, why I'm doing this, all of my social media stats, my download stats, the number, all that good stuff. That all needs to be in your pitch deck. And not only can you make money from your podcast that way, but also when you're using affiliate links, whether they're in blog posts, whether you're speaking of a brand on your actual show, they're paying you to speak entirely on an episode about their brand. You can make a lot of money off affiliate links if you have a really large audience, because like I said, your content is always there. It's getting recycled. People are always listening to it, going back to your original content, and people are going to click through. So you always want to make sure that those links are appropriate and they work, and they're in your show notes, and they're on your website, and they're where everybody can hear you and follow you when it comes to signing off of that episode, when they want to start following you on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. You want to make sure that those links are all there and correct, and that there's no glitches. So I'd recommend, checking them every week, every month, however you feel necessary, to do those little get those little things done. I mean, it's little things like that would prevent you from making money every month if you're, waiting on an affiliate check. I, for example, have, I think, 8 different affiliates right now. So it's really important for me to update my links, make sure they're working. If something happens on their end, you usually get an email, but you can't rely on other people. You need to make sure that it's good on your end. So maybe let's say every Friday I check my links. So maybe that's something I should start doing, because I'm really going to start incorporating them into more things in my everyday business. So I have to add that to my list of things to do. So that's just some of my tips and tricks for you today for that. And then something else, I have a question for you guys. If you want to continue the conversations after these podcast episodes, are you more inclined to go to a Facebook group, or would you prefer to comment on the actual episode on my website? Because I'm really contemplating the Facebook group that we have now. I feel like I want my audience on my website and not a Facebook group moving forward. So I'm kind of going back and forth. I haven't made up my mind completely yet, but I'd love to hear your opinion. So if you send me a screenshot that you're listening to this episode, tag me on Instagram, the Happy Workaholic, and let me know if you're more inclined to do a Facebook group or to comment on the actual episode on my website, thehappyworkaholic.com. I'd love to hear your 2 cents. And also, I do give away special little presents for those of you that tag me, because I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to each and every one of my shows. It really does mean a lot. I've just fallen in love with podcasting, which is now why I coach and produce and edit for other clients, because I feel like it's really necessary to build your brand. I feel like it's necessary to be a voice, another voice that people can listen to. It's great to hear other perspectives, whether it's just in life or work-life balance or just your business. And, on my show, I kind of put it all out there. So I just wanted to share, what's next in my business, what you can see, what you can expect to see, and then how to streamline everything that you have. Just make it simple. Like, less is more. Why am I constantly having to have this humongous website with all this stuff? I don't. So that's why I took it down. I just want to live a more simple life. And by having a lot less to use in my business and to deal with is really making it a lot more positive experience for myself. Because if you listen to the last episode 88, I talked about my stress and anxiety and battle with depression and all those things. At the end of the day, if I'm stressed out, they're coming full force. So I just want to continue to live my happy, healthy, positive, and productive life. And, I created that mantra for a reason. And because that's what I want in life. I want a simple life. I just want to do what I love, and that's coaching and consulting with other brands and make them the best. So if you are looking to up-level your business, your branding, your LinkedIn, your podcast, if you want to just start brand new, or you want to, like I just said, up the game on what you have, I would love to hop on a phone call with you guys and see how it is that I can actually help you. And the thing about working with me is that I'm going to give you a prime example. I was pitched to, a company pitched to me so that I could push out some content for them. And the price was great. However, the brand didn't really make sense, because I offer, when you work with me, the first thing I do is research everything that you have. Then we get on a call. Then I give you my 2 cents on what would be best. And, we agree upon a certain structure in a certain way and a certain time period, and then move forward. If I'm pushing content out on LinkedIn for you and you don't have a LinkedIn, does that make sense when you are a well-known public figure in a brand? I really don't think so. And if you're going to come back and forth and ask questions and does it make sense, I'm just trying to do the best job that I can. I'm just trying to do what actually makes sense for you and your brand. If your content is going out on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on ads, you need to make sure that your profile matches what the content would be getting pushed out about you. It just makes sense. And sometimes you just have to go with your gut and say no to the money, because you don't really want to be affiliated, or, at the end of the day, if you're pushing out content for someone, granted they're paying you, if it ruins your brand, you're the one that's getting screwed. So you have to protect your own business and your own brand. You have to make sure that, is your audience going to be acceptable to what you're pushing out? Are they going to agree with what you're writing? Are they going to believe that you really do believe in this product or this brand? Or they're just going to immediately know that you just push out content because you're getting paid. For myself, I really need to believe in a product. I really need to love it. I really need to see like how much I'm going to use it every day, if it makes sense for my personal or professional life, and then I'll share about it. And then, we go from there. But I really, I need to try out products. I need to see if they work. Then I will share. Then I will tell my audience, I've used this. It works. I love it. And here's your code. Here's the link. Check it out. And it could not be sponsored. It could be sponsored. And you'll know that because it clearly has to say by law that it's sponsored and that you're getting paid or it's an ad. So when it comes time to having your podcast or upping the game on your blog or your Facebook or your IGTV or your Instagram stories, know that you need to be true to yourself and your brand so that when people are following you for a reason, you start pushing out all this other content. They're like, what the hell is that? That doesn't make any sense. I've been following you for years and now you're just pushing out these sponsored posts that has nothing to do with what you're really about. So you want to make sure that you're really good with protecting your brand and your image, especially when you have a business online. It's not always about the money sometimes. It's just about who you are and what you do and what you share with your audience. And it just all needs to be cohesive and make sense. So that's another tip that I wanted to share with you guys because it's happened to me a couple times over the last few months, and I just had to turn things down because I just knew in the back of my mind, I was like, wow, that's a really good deal. But is my audience going to appreciate that I'm sending them this content? Because not all of my audience is in a specific field that I was, and are they, interested in that? So I just really wanted to discuss that quickly. So also, let me know again, tag me on Instagram, screenshot this show, and let me know if you're more inclined to Facebook groups or commenting on the episodes on my actual website, because I need to make that decision sometime soon. And I think that's all I have for you guys. I just wanted to do a back to business basics show as I'm actually doing it myself. I just, updated my social media channels, my entire website, my podcast, so much more. So whenever I'm working on something in a project, I'm always taking notes for you guys so that I can share everything that I'm working on with you so that you have plenty of free content to find and to listen to and to follow up on. So if I can ever be of assistance, and whether it's your business, your LinkedIn, your podcast, just reach out to me on Instagram, or you can find me at thehappyworkaholic.com. And I would love to answer all of your questions. I cannot wait to hear them and see you guys on my Instagram, at thehappyworkaholic. And we're going to talk about this a little bit more, I have a feeling. So stay tuned, and until next time. Thank you so much for listening to today's show. If you liked this episode, please let me know by writing me a review on iTunes for the Happy Workaholic Podcast. I would truly appreciate it. As I always say, sharing is caring. Don't forget, the after show happens after each episode in the Happy Workaholic Podcast Facebook group. And that is where I am every week to answer all of your questions. Now, just so you know, I have been spending so much time over on my Instagram, and I would love to connect with you over there. You can find me at The Happy Workaholic, and don't forget to tag me when listening to your favorite episode so I can showcase you on my Instagram stories. For any other information regarding the Happy Workaholic Network, leverage your LinkedIn and your podcast production, just visit thehappyworkaholic.com. I hope that you are having a wonderful week, and I will talk to you again soon.